Number 2 Camp. Parkhouse. Salisbury, May 30, 1918. Dear Mrs. Hunter, hope you will not get too great a surprise when you get this, but I just thought I would like to write to you and let you know how things are progressing with us here. Now I arrived here in Parkhouse last Saturday night and our boat berthed at Tilbury 20 miles the other side of London on Friday 24th. We had a splendid trip taking just 9 weeks from the time we left Sydney. We first went to Wellington, New Zealand. From there we had 26 days run to Panama. That was a weary trip for the whole of the 26 days, we saw neither land nor ships and it was a great relief when we ended it. We went a long way south and had very cold weather and it was quite a change to get up into the tropics. Now the scenery of the Panama Canal is simply beautiful and one cannot imagine what it is like without first seeing it. The growth of course is purely tropical and is lovely with its many shades of green growing right to the water's edge. The locks are marvelous constructions of concrete and steel and the tops are covered with pretty green lawns. After going through the canal we went up to Newport News in the famous old Chesapeake Bay and we were fortunate enough to get a day's leave here. Then we went on to Halifax in Nova Scotia and it was here we saw the scene and results of the great explosion of December 6, 1917. An area of about 2 square miles was completely obliterated and there was not a window in any of the buildings for miles around that remained intact. Halifax is not pretty to look at but it contains much of interest to historians. We saw the cemetery where the victims of the Titanic disaster were buried and although it was a small place it was full of interest. Then leaving Halifax on the Saturday in a convoy of 6 boats, we had a 13 days run to Tilbury docks and very fortunate we were to escape the submarines. Unfortunately our cruiser escort the Moldavia was sunk but they just missed our old vessel and we were very glad they did for we were not looking for a cold dip so early in the morning. Now Mrs. Hunter, this part of England is just ideal for everything is green and lovely but I am not looking forward to the winter. I wrote to Mrs. Roddick the other day and I have just received a cable from her asking me to get up to Glasgow for my leave which I will very likely be getting next week. There are about 8 of us boys going up together so I think we ought to have a good time. Aeroplanes are very common here now and one sees them go over in 4s and 5s and even 6s. At first they attracted our attention but now we take little or no notice of them. Then also we find it strange here seeing it is daylight right up to 10 p.m. and the sun rises at 5 a.m. so we have plenty of daylight. It puts me in mind of our 6 months of daylight saving in Australia but things are not worked on that system here. My word, the people in Australia do not know there was a war on as far as feeling the food pinch goes. I have not seen or even tasted any of something sweet. I have heard that food is scarce in England, but so far we have had plenty to eat. It was fortunate for England that our boat the Runic did not get torpedoed for she was carrying nearly £4 million worth of foodstuffs in flour, butter, cheese and frozen meat besides a lot of copper sulfate. Now I think that is all for this time but I will write again later. Kindest regards to you all. Yours sincerely, Lance E. Trebilco.